should be a great week for running backs. Week 8, running backs, start sits, up next. Just start off with a quick apology about not having week 8 ad videos up this week. It's been a busy week, not only at work, but at home. And I also apologize about having these start videos up late, but nonetheless, we're getting them up there. And we are going to start in Atlanta with Cordarrelle Patterson. It looks on paper like he has a terrible matchup, but to me, he's a start. We're talking about a guy who's 78% started, so most managers on board with that. About 3 out of 4 managers have him in their lineup, and for good reason. We're talking about a guy who's been a top 10 running back, despite the fact that he already has a bye week under his belt. So even with the bye week, we're talking about a guy that's a top 10 running back getting more and more work. We talk about what he did in London, what he did last week, and what Mike Davis didn't do. Whoa! Mike Davis, 4 carries to Cordarrelle Patterson's 14. Still got 5 targets. Only had 2 receptions, so his catch rate went a little bit down. But a guy who had 19 opportunities at touches, man, that's definitely RB2 value. You look at what Carolina has done. They've been pretty damn good, but I don't think they've faced too many good running games. Not calling Atlanta a good running game. They are definitely not great. I think they're averaging somewhere around 83 yards rushing, a game. However, we're also talking about Cordarrelle Patterson in PPR formats, especially being a guy that catches balls, who has continually been a guy to get 100 all-purpose yards and find the end zone. He's already broken his season career rushing yards, season career rushing attempts, and they have no intention of slowing down on using Cordarrelle Patterson. Now, I have read a little bit about, hey, Mike Davis, we're not forgetting about Mike Davis. He's going to be a part of this too, but it's no question that Cordarrelle Patterson has been the more efficient running back, not only in the passing game, but in the running game. And it makes sense for Atlanta to shift more towards Cordarrelle Patterson. Do I think Mike Davis is going away? No. But I think Cordarrelle Patterson is definitely going to have a chance at 18 to 22 attempts at either rushing the ball or catching the ball every single week until further notice. And that's a guy that has to be in your lineup. Carolina is a good defense. I don't think they're great. I think this offense, obviously, we've seen really faltering without CMC in the backfield. That we've seen Sam Darnold come back down to earth a little bit. He looks more like the Jet Sam Darnold. Now Carolina was linked a couple times to trying to get a trade for Deshaun Watson after being so committed to Sam Darnold. Shouldn't be a high-scoring game. This shouldn't be a game where Atlanta has to give up on the running attack. And if they're going to commit to the run, Cordarrelle Patterson is going to be a big part of that. He's going to have a lot of opportunities. And with his big playability, he has a great opportunity to once again find the end zone this season, this week. And I think he has a great opportunity to be a great start for you this week. He is in my lineups. I have him across the board. Man, I added this guy early on, and it's paying off. So Cordarrelle Patterson in my lineups. The guy that I have is a put up or a shut up. Now, Zack Moss. Zack Moss, 29% started after weeks 2 and 3. I think everybody started getting excited about this guy, and for good reason. He was really damn good. He was being used in the passing game, getting some goal line opportunities, was running the ball efficiently, and that's kind of waned a little bit lately. And his rushing efficiency's gone down a little bit. His rushing attempts have gone down a little bit. His middling usage in the passing game isn't making up for the lack of attempts at the goal line and the lack of rushing attempts. And you've been watching his score totals kind of drop every single week. And this is a guy that, like I said, after week 3, we were all really excited about being a really solid, like, set it and forget it RB2. Not the case anymore. He's looking more and more like a flex. He's looking more and more like a kind of risky flex and a guy that needs a touchdown. That's more of a standard style quarterback or running back, and not very useful in PPR if he's not going to be getting 4 or 5 targets a game, which he's not. He's going to get 2 or 3. Like I said, not enough there to make up for the lack of what he's getting somewhere else. Now we're talking about a guy that might be in a hot hand approach. Devin Singletary, blah, blah, blah. God damn, can we just figure shit out in Buffalo? I thought we finally had it figured out to where we had a guy we could finally utilize. And, you know, got a pretty decent matchup this week. So, with the Miami Dolphins, and when I talk about decent, I'm talking about a great fucking matchup. So, if he can't go, like, off this week, yeah, that's a problem. That's a big red flag, and that's a guy that's going to have to you're going to have to think about using less and less. And right now, 70%, 71% of managers not using Zack Moss. And, you know, I understand that. I probably wouldn't be using him unless, you know, I was a desperate owner. Some people went more RB0, and if you went RB0, you might be using Zack Moss, and that's okay. You could be doing a lot worse. But he is showing a lot of warning signs, a lot of red flags. That is concerning. It is a put up or shut up week for Zack Moss. Just a quick reminder to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so I can continue to bring you these videos. Some running backs that are in a position to succeed. Damien Harris, 55% started by managers. Great matchup. That is if the Chargers don't come out of the bye pissed off about what happened against Baltimore. Put up a lot of points against New England, and they have to abandon the run because, as we know, Damien Harris isn't used in the passing game. Well, that's a problem. That's a problem if he's not in the passing game. But if New England keeps this a game, there's not many more enticing matchups than this defense, how bad they've been against the run. Damien Harris is continually being, like, he's found the end zone 3 weeks in a row. Ran over 100 yards 2 weeks in a row. Been pretty damn good. The offensive line getting more healthy. Damien Harris is a really good chance to succeed this week. Understand why 45% of managers don't have him in the roster or in their starting lineup. A lot of that probably having to do with the lack of involvement in the passing game. But he does definitely have really good upside as a RB2, a good floor. Really good floor. There is a little bit of risk from the lack of passing attack, but if you don't, you know, he's in a good position to succeed. This is probably one of the weaker ones I've done at this, but he's just been so good lately. It's hard to go away from Harris. And when you look at the matchup, but that's also sometimes that can be devastating. But I like Harris. He's in a position to succeed. 55% started. Another guy that's in a great matchup, Kenneth Gainwell, 26% started. He has a great matchup versus Detroit. These is one of the worst defenses giving up passes to the backfield. Guess what Kenneth Gainwell does? He's a scat back that catches passes out of the backfield. At the same time, they are using him in the running game. He was on the field more than Boston Scott in relief of Miles Sanders last week. I understand they're elevating Jordan Howard, but I mean, there's a plotter if I've ever seen one. He's not used in the passing game. We've seen already. Miles Sanders has been used in the passing game. Boston Scott was used in the passing game. Kenneth Gainwell's used in the passing game. Jordan Howard doesn't bring really anything other than 1 yard in a cloud of dust. I'll try to get you a touchdown. He's depth. That's it. I still think this is going to be Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott in relief. I still think Scott's going to get some action as well. But Gainwell is the guy that this coaching staff specifically went out, targeted in the draft, thought they got it as a steal after he sat out the year at Memphis. And he's been pretty good when he's had opportunities this year. He's good in the passing game. And this is just a great matchup. So once again, in a position to succeed, Kenneth Gainwell. I think you can do a lot worse. But yeah, like I said in the open, this is just such a great week for running backs. I think the tough matchups are going to the guys that you just don't care. You know, they just thrive. And then the great matchups are going to the guys that you normally worry about. So it's a great week for starting running backs. Great week for starting running backs. You know, but there is a guy where it's not necessarily your week. We're talking about a guy in Myles Gaskin, 29% started. This is kind of a free space, in my opinion, as far as a sit. Gaskin's either been good or he's been not so good this year. And it's kind of been like almost alternating, right? Alternating good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. And I don't think that's necessarily just because he's inconsistent. I think part of it is, the team, didn't have Tua for a long time. He's definitely better with Tua. But this is going to be a down week specifically because you look at Buffalo and what they've done to Miami continuously since they've become a force these last couple of years, and that is beat their faces in. And Miami has just been dominated by Buffalo. Now you look at Gaskin, who he's been good. Honestly, when he's had opportunities, he was not so good in London, but he's been pretty good for the most part. And this is just a bad opportunity for him. There's just so many other places that you can turn to other than Myles Gaskin. When you talk about a guy who's going up against Buffalo, who's great against running backs, they're great against, this is the defense that you kind of want to avoid if you have guys that aren't set it and forget it. And Myles Gaskin's not set it and forget it. I really like his talent. I really like his ability, but I don't like this team right now. They're not buying into Brian Flores, and there's just a lot of drama surrounding him. And Myles Gaskin hasn't been consistent, and this isn't a week to rely on a guy who hasn't been consistent in a terrible matchup. So for me, not your week. Myles Gaskin, a sit. You kind of set him aside. Another quick reminder to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And that I joined 1080 The Fan every Sunday morning here in Portland, Oregon for last minute start sit advice. You can send in your start sit advice. You can listen at the end for the contact info, and you can send in your start sit advice on Sunday morning, and I can get it to you live. Moving on, we're going to beware these running backs, and this is kind of like I said, this was a hard one. This was really hard because there's so many good plays at the running back position this week, but Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, I think one of them's going to be good. I just don't know which one, and I don't know how good. I don't know, neither one of them has really popped huge. They haven't been, they've been, when they're good, but they're not great. So why are we putting somebody in our lineup that can be good but isn't going to be great? And when they're not good, they're just meh, right? And you're talking about a guy that has way better opportunity that's on a lot of waiver wires right now, and Kenneth Gainwell comes to mind right off the bat that you could just turn to. I feel like you should have other running backs on your roster that you can turn to this week because it's a great, great week for running backs. Why are we starting Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams unless you are in 0 RB and that's just like you drafted those guys to be your guy? Like you were like, Javonte Williams is going to be great by week 8. He's going to be my number 1 running back, and that's what you got. But, I mean, I wouldn't even mind playing a guy in PPR like Brandon Bolden over these guys. I think there's more upside. It's just, there's too much 50-50 with these two. And this Broncos offense hasn't been committed enough to the run, in my opinion. Last week, Melvin Gordon got 8 rushes. Javonte got 4. When in that Thursday night game was Denver ever so blown out that they couldn't get both their running backs at least 12 touches apiece in the running game? Like, what? Why in the world could they not establish the run last week? Because Pat Shurmur's a fucking dick and he doesn't like running the ball. So it's just more reason not to start Melvin Gordon. More reason not to start Javonte Williams. Pass. Better days ahead for these guys. There will be days where you're looking at other guys and their matchups and being like, yeah, okay, I'd rather play Gordon. I'd rather play Williams. But not this week. Not this week. There's too many other guys with to me, in my opinion, that have better matchups, better options. And these guys are just splitting shit so much down the middle. It's maddening. Just move on. Move on. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I will be joining Football Sunday with Mike Lynch and Rashad Taylor on Sunday morning for the Fantasy Scramble. We take last-minute start-sit questions, 30 minutes up to kickoff, so 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. You can send in your start-sit questions to 503-250-1080, and you can listen Sunday mornings on Odyssey.com. I will have the link down below in the channel or the episode description. Once again, thank you for watching, and make sure to look out for my Week 8 wide receiver start sits.